Hello, and welcome to the Fear Channel, a channel with regular broadcasts telling the most chilling of urban legends, ghost stories, and forays into the darkest corners of the human mind. Those faint of heart or prone to night terrors should proceed at their own risk. Tonight's story is Bigfoot in Finland Part 2, Missing Thai Berry Picker.
Tonight's installment is going to be a bit different from the usual fare, mainly because I don't normally do follow-ups to previous stories. But this one was so crazy with so much additional outside support material and articles that it had to be done. For those who don't know, last week's entry featured a story that had circulated the internet about a group of buddies who went camping and hunting in the northern part of Finland. Towards the end of their second encounter with a strange unidentified cryptid, they learned of a man who had gone missing in the area. This man was later found dead, and the details of his disappearance, in conjunction with the other sighting in the area, are absolutely bone-chilling. So in accordance with the last story, we already know that there is a strange, hairy, 7-foot-tall creature that likes to crouch, hide, and slink while moving quickly to remain undetected. The man who disappeared was an immigrant to Finland from Thailand who was a berry scavenger. Apparently that's a common thing in Finland. There are wilderness land laws that allow people to forage for anything they want on government land, basically anywhere that isn't privately owned. So there are small communities of people from Thailand who scavenge for fruit in the wilderness, and apparently they can make a pretty decent living doing this. The internet story and the news articles about the missing berry picker are actually a little old. The story covers events between 2009 and 2010. In the story, the group goes back to the same area twice to try and scope out this weird creature. The first time is in 2009, and then they go back a year later. The news article about the missing berry picker is from August 13th, 2010. But the details on this story are just so crazy, I'm surprised no one has really looked into it yet in a major way. So this one berry picker had been out foraging for berries for 3 days. At the end of the third day, he calls one of the people that he works with to come pick him up to take him home. Towards the end of the call, he says he has to go because he's worried that some kind of animal is following him, and that he thinks it's a large dog. When the berry picker's work friend comes to the specified location to pick him up, he's not there. There is no sign of him, and he's not answering his cell phone. Since the guy doesn't turn up, the police are eventually called, and the manhunt that appears in the first story that I covered last week begins. The body is eventually found, and the situation dies down. But there are many pieces of the story that don't add up. The first is the location and condition of the body. The news report stated that the body looked like it had been harmed by an animal of some sort, but that it wasn't damaging enough to be instantly ruled as the cause of death. The body was also found roughly 1.5 miles from where the guy said he would be when he called on his cell phone. Now, if we're supposed to believe that this guy was dragged by some wolf or bear for over 1 mile, wouldn't the body be in much worse condition? Also, several locals have made claims that wildlife in the area is relatively people-shy, so the idea of a wolf or bear attack just seems unlikely. It sounds to me like whatever got this guy was able to carry him over that distance. The second part of the story that's off is the military involvement. Finnish military were working side by side with police on this case. Originally, the police were working solely with the local berry pickers to try and find out what could have happened. At some point in the process, the military steps in and halts all consulting with the local berry pickers. Apparently, a soldier came forward at one point to the media and made a claim that he had been on the phone with the missing berry picker after he had disappeared. During the call, the berry picker said that he was on the run, and that something large had been following him for days. Whatever this creature is, we at least know that it doesn't eat people. It might be territorial and attack people it views as a threat, but the berry picker was found mostly intact. Had he been missing a limb, we might need to be a little more concerned. The story from the campers in the region also tell of animal carcasses around the creature's nest. So I think it's safe to assume that whatever this thing is, it survives by eating other animals. If this whole situation is some kind of hoax, it's a highly elaborate one. The military just doesn't step in for a missing persons case unless something is seriously out of place. If you have any thoughts or any additional information, please post it below.